But I did, however, want to do a Boston Bruins breakdown because the Boston Bruins currently are just flying through the fucking league right now. And it's not just them either. It's the Vegas Golden Knights. There's the New Jersey Devils. These three teams are just unbelievable this season. But I did want to talk Boston Bruins because when we did the Atlantic Division breakdown, we talked to Boston Bruins, and both me and Chris both thought they were like 4th, 5th place Atlantic Division teams. And holy shit, are they proving us all wrong. So it's just a bit of a breakdown, not too much to go into, but just something. So let's start it off.
Page and a half. It's a pretty big breakdown, I'd say.
Okay, all right. First team in NHL history to start a season with a 12-0 home record after coming back from a 2-goal deficit against the Hurricanes to win 3-2 in OT today, which is what I just talked about. The 1922 Ottawa Senators originally held the title after going 11-0 until losing their 12th home game. They are second in the league in penalty kills with an 84.3%. So far, they've had 83 penalty kills with only 13 goals allowed in those 83 penalty kills. Second in the league in face-off wins with 56.2%. The first is actually the Blackhawks with 56.9%. So very, very close right there. Big news coming out this week with Patrice Bergeron. He hit the 1,000 career NHL point mark with the Bruins. He became the 4th player in Bruins history to hit that mark, joining Ray Bourque, who had 1,506, Johnny Busick with 1,339, and Phil Esposito with 1,012. I love that. It was Marchand who scored, I think, and then jumped right over to Patrice Bergeron and knew he got that 1,000. So it was a great little celebration with the whole team coming off the bench, and big celebration with Patrice Bergeron, who definitely deserves it. Great guy. But let's get on to goalies here. Ullmark, although was injured today and is day-to-day with an upper body injury, currently leads the NHL in save percentage, GAA, and wins with a 2.00 GAA, a 0.935 save percentage, and 13 wins, coming from last season where he finished 7th best in the league in save percentage and GAA with a .917 save percentage and 2.5 GAA. So Linus, however you want to say it, is just like... keep going up, man. Moving on to David Pastrnak. He's second in the league in points with 32, 4th in goals with 14, and tied for 7th in assists with 18. Nick Foligno having a bit of a bounce-back season after a career low season with just 2 goals and 11 assists last season with 4 goals and 8 assists so far. So it'll be good to see Nick Foligno come up, and this is how a team becomes the way they are. Jim Montgomery, we're going to talk about him, has definitely proved himself to be a good head coach. The first and last NHL team he was a head coach for was the Dallas Stars in 2018-2019, where he went 43-23-0 and lost in the second round of the playoffs. He would then coach half of the 2019-2020 season before COVID would end things, with a 17-11-0 record. He then signed as an assistant coach with the St. Louis Blues for the past 2 seasons. So the past 2 seasons, he was assistant head coach before coming to the Bruins and kind of really spreading his wings right now, really showing what the NHL and all the head coaches what he can do here. Which we're talking about too, if he was going to be a good situation with Bruce Cassidy gone, but apparently he's definitely shown us all up. All 4 lines are contributing to this team, which is key for a team to be this good. Here's the stats for the 3rd and 4th line. So we're going to start with the 4th line here. Nick Foligno, 4 goals and 8 assists. Thomas Nosek, 2 goals and 4 assists. A.J. Greer, 3 goals and 4 assists. On the 3rd line, we're just talking about Taylor Hall on the 3rd line, 6 goals and 7 assists. Charlie Coyle, 6 goals and 3 assists. And Craig Smith with 1 goal and 2 assists, who's currently out with an upper body injury in his day-to-day recently. As of today, the Bruins are number 1 in the league with an 18-3-0 record. Right behind them in second is the Vegas Golden Knights with a 16-4-1 record, and New Jersey Devils in third with a 16-4-0 record. What are your thoughts on this streak? Is this fire going to go out at the worst time, or are they going to ride this into the postseason?
Yeah, there's no chance that something like this lasts the entire season. It's just too early. Mm-hmm. But I also don't entirely agree with peaking at the wrong time. It's more about can you peak at the right time, you know? Mm-hmm. there's never a bad time to get these wins and get in early. Like, if you can solidify yourself as one of the top guys and then you fizzle out a little bit towards the middle of the season, like, you're still in that playoff spot and you have a little bit of comfort and wiggle room. So I think that, like, at the end of the day, this is never going to be a bad thing, but this isn't going to last, obviously, you know? There's got to be a certain point where this ends, especially when there's 3 teams in the league that are doing it, right? And I think, personally, that this team, the biggest feather in their cap that they have is the depth. Bergeron, Krejci, and Coyle are your 1, 2, and 3 centers up the middle. And, I mean, putting Coyle as your third-line center with Taylor Hall, like, Taylor Hall is a guy that could be in the All-Star game. Like, that's how good he has been in the past. Fourth line, Nick Foligno stepping the game up, definitely huge. And just the skill and overall presence that this team has, especially when you get the power play going. I like that they've split up McAvoy and Lindholm on the top D pairs. They have McAvoy, Grzelcyk as the first pair and Lindholm, Carlo as the second pair. Goaltending out the ass. Like, what else can you say? I mean, one point I wanted to chime in on, too, on Ullmark is it's nuts to me that the best goalie in the league is a 2.0 GAA. Like, the scoring is just through the roof. Like, back in the day, the best goalie in the league probably had, like, what? A 1.3, a 1.5, somewhere around there. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, that's what we were talking about, where 2.00 is just insane to think about. But this team just in general is just unbelievable. But you brought up the fact that, like, will the fire go out? And I can think of just like the Florida Panthers the past 2 seasons or last season, and the Calgary Flames, where I don't know if they had like a real downtime throughout the entire season. They might have had a few losses here and there, but I mean, throughout the entire season, they just like rode the wave into the playoffs. And I don't know if the Boston Bruins are still going to be that way by the end of the playoffs, but by the end of the regular season. But I guess we'll see. But one thing I do want to talk about too is David Pastrnak. Watch David Pastrnak. He is just unbelievable. Like, you see Ovechkin, you see, I don't want to say Crosby, but you see like some of these guys who are just like, they're in their one spot, and that's where they score from. Whereas David Pastrnak, it doesn't matter what part of the offensive ice he's in, he has a chance to score. Like, he's got the spot to the right of the post, to the left of the post, to the center, to like the blue dot. Like, I've seen him do it. It's just like, he's just such like an all-around type of scorer. And David Pastrnak has just been unbelievable to watch. And that's saying a lot when you have Brad Marchand, who's just like really fucking stepped up his game from being like the dirty rat player that he is to just like the playmaker that he is, the absolute fighter. If you watch Brad Marchand just making plays, like the hunger for the puck he has is the one phrase that comes to mind, where just like there's no giving up. He'll be like 2 Devils guys on him, and he'll fight for that puck, and most of the time he'll get out of there with the puck too. So the hunger with Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, Patrice Bergeron, I mean, the whole first line there is just fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, I really think it comes down to, you have a crafty player in Pastrnak that's, in the likes of, I want to say McDavid, but not to that level, like a Johnny Huberdeau or a Johnny Gaudreau. And then you have that kind of crafty player. You have Marchand, who has like puck retrieval, puck retention out the ass, like just crazy good at that. And then you have a guy like Bergeron that's so defensive minded. He'll be the F3 that's hanging back with the defense and covers and can still set up crazy, assists, wins the faceoffs, crazy. Like, it's just such a well-rounded team at the end of the day. You have an offensive defenseman in Charlie McAvoy and a stay-at-home and, Hampus Lindholm or vice versa, however you want to play it. But I just think the team is very well-balanced right now. And going back to, making it last the whole season, it's really about stretching out the losses and making sure that you don't, start dropping back-to-backs or get to become a streaky team that's hot and cold throughout the season. And I think that, at the end of the day, is what kills teams' regular season chances at a playoff spot.
Oh, yeah. Yep. 100%. So, I think we'll just end that little breakdown there, too, because it's just not enough you could say about the Boston Bruins. But we also have, like, a bunch of other stuff we need to talk about, too. But I did want to bring them up. That was the goal here, because I feel like we've kind of pushed that to the side, but I think we definitely picked the right week to do it with Patrice Bergeron's 1,000 point and them breaking some records there.